Hi, my name is Pamela Seals, and I am going to be doing a video blog of my weight loss journey. I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, why do we need yet another video? Why do we need yet another weight loss journey? I know that personally, as I have been working on trying to do some weight loss journeying and researching for myself to find out what would bring my health to a better place, I have found a lot of inspiration from watching a lot of other YouTubers, people who have walked through this journey. Some waited until they were years into the process to share and are now a great inspiration with science and knowledge. Others have been vulnerable from the beginning. I've lost weight many times in my life, but not as dramatically as I did the most recent time before this. And I really I want a journey record for myself. If this talk, if the numbers that I share, if the details I give helps even one person find inspiration or helps them find motivation to keep going, then it's worthwhile to me. But mostly this is for me. Mostly this is as I chronicle the things that I am wrestling with. And I want to show other people that you can do it too. And hopefully I don't give up a few months from now and just stop, because historically, those of us who have lost weight and we've gained it all back and we've lost it and we've gained it all back, there's been a lot of real problems with that. So I'm going to show you some more about myself. First thing you need to know is I am a science teacher. I teach high school science. I've taught for 27 years. I'm 54 years old. And so when it comes to making decisions about my health and what I eat, I am extremely diligent in doing research. You're going to hear the names of a whole lot of people, a lot of scientists over the course of my blog, that I read their studies, I dig into their information, I've read their books. And so as we go through this journey together, as you guys watch what I'm doing, I think you're going to find at times I'm going to discuss um, a journal article maybe that I've read or talk about a podcast I've listened to. I may bring in some specific data on myself, like I will today. Just who am I? What are my numbers? Numbers motivate me as a science teacher. I love graphs and charts and keeping track of what is happening to my body so that I know why it's happening and maybe I can keep it going. So as we go through this journey together, I really appreciate you understanding that I am learning with you. I'm in the process. This is not an end product and a canned description. I am not going to try to sell you anything on a personal level. At this point, I'm clearly not monetized by YouTube at all. I just want to be there to support some other people. Like I said, I'm a science teacher, and if I can teach one person something that I've learned that makes a difference in my life, that's great. Another challenge that I face, of course, in this journey is a lot of people are not on the journey with me. And finding my tribe is going to be challenging. And hopefully this is part of what I'm doing, is finding my tribe, because only through support and only through groups do we actually really succeed in maintaining lifestyle changes. So as I continue to get to know me, I'm going to show you some pictures of me and tell you a little bit specifically of my story. So I am 54 years old. I've been overweight since I was a little kid. I would say that probably 6 or 7, I started gaining weight. At the age of 8, I weighed 108 pounds. I was in 3rd grade and I was obese, and I have been obese pretty much my whole life. These are 2 fairly recent pictures. I mean, it's within the last 10 years. The one on the left was my engagement night, the night that I got engaged to my wonderful husband, who had at that time gained some weight himself. He had always been a really skinny, thin person, but he was probably at his largest there, and he absolutely hates this picture. So, honey, I'm sorry I put it online. The one on the right is a really rough picture, of my opinion, of myself. This is us going on a cruise in July of 2015. So as you can see, very overweight, carry my weight in my middle. I'm 5'8". And so when I give you numbers and when I talk to you about specific weights, just understand I'm 5'8", 8.5. And so being tall, I carry more weight than some people, but I think most people in the world really don't have an understanding of how much people actually weigh. I think they think that 130 pounds or 160 pounds is heavy, which 160 pounds of my body would be amazing. So I'm going to continue going through my slides. So April 2018, I was diagnosed with diabetes. Again, here I am with my husband. Um, I kind of went reeling emotionally when I got the diagnosis because diabetes is for life. It's the rest of your life. You're going to always have to deal with this. I'll never be able to eat sweets again. I just remember I went into mourning for about a month and a half and I just didn't even know what to do. I started sticking my finger and started checking my blood sugar and started trying to cut out carbs. And I came across the wonderful, amazing Dr. Jason Fung and his book, The Diabetes Code. If you are a diabetic and you have not read it, I highly recommend it. Now, I'm going to remind you, I'm a science teacher, so the science gets me all jazzed up and very excited. And so I started the process, and these were my first numbers. If you look at my A1C, I was at an 8. It wasn't horrendous. I've heard horror stories of people with 14s and 15s, but it was definitely high, right? Anything below 5.7 is healthy. An 8 is definitely not healthy. If you look at my glucose number, it was over 200 fasting on the day that they took my blood sugars. And my triglycerides were 3 times as high as normal. Normal is 150 or below. Obviously, the lower, the better. My weight at that time was 295 pounds. I had been as heavy as 320, so 295 was actually the start of losing. And the reason I went to the doctor in the first place is I was losing weight and I shouldn't have been. Like, I didn't know why I was losing weight, and it made me nervous. Also, if you look at my HDL, it's horrible. So obviously I start listening to Jason Fung. I find Dr. Bickman and a few different people, and I start learning about this insulin thing, right? This insulin resistance. And so when I went back for my 2-month checkup to make sure my medicine wasn't making me feel sick, I asked my doctor to give me my fasting insulin. For those of you who know, fasting insulin at 17.2 is very high. It's not horrendously high, like I've heard horror stories again, but your goal is to be under a 5. And clearly I'm not under a 5. You can see that I have a lot of belly fat, and so I carry all my weight in my middle, which again are all these symptoms of metabolic syndrome. So in April of 2018, I was put on all kinds of medicines, statins, high blood pressure medicine, and blood sugar medicine all in one go, because that's what you do when you have a diabetic. Dr. Barry would tell you that that's kind of crazy. But so in the process, I find this intermittent fasting. And Jason Fung is a huge part of it, and I start lower carb eating. Before too long, I start to see some results. This picture of my pants shows my pants at my largest. And at that point, I went from a 24 size pant for women and down to a 16. And I was just in awe of the results I was getting. By lower carb, I mean I was eating under 150 grams a day. I wasn't really recording my carbs. I was just off of all the white sugar, white breads, rice. I would occasionally have a day that I ate those things, but it was very rare. I went to the vegetables, I went to the meat, and got rid of all the sweets. So this was me at my lowest point in this original point of the fasting journey. So my numbers had changed dramatically. You can see my weight just like was falling off. I got down to 225 pounds at one point, which was the lowest I had been in I don't even know how long, right? So that was kind of like the beginning of 2019. So if you look here, you can kind of see my blood sugar numbers, all of my A1C by 2019, the 5.1s in that region, I was off all medication. So I was like, yes, I'm in diabetic remission. But my glucose is still elevated. My morning sugars just never dropped, and they're still up there. But if you look at my triglycerides, I had dropped really well. I think I was on statins at that point, but they didn't stay there, right? So my triglycerides came up. Again, I'm probably still low carbing, not crazy low carbing, but I am doing significant fasting. At points, I'm doing 48 hours. I did a couple 5-day fasts, a few 3-day fasts, and I fasted 16 and 8 every day, at least a minimum. And I got myself into a 20 and 4 pattern where I was eating just one meal a day or a few snacks. And I was doing pretty well. But unfortunately, I took the mindset of, so I read a book by a lady named Jen Stevens, wonderful lady. I really think she's amazing, incredibly intelligent woman. And it said, delay, don't deny. And it was all this, as long as you're fasting, you can eat whatever. is what I heard. That's not what Jen says now, and that's not what she really meant when she said delay, don't deny. What she was trying to say was it isn't necessarily denial, that fasting can really do a whole lot. But I started back on the SAD diet. Like I slowly added back in the processed foods. I slowly added back in the carbs, and before long I was gaining the weight back. Even though my blood sugars were in remission, I was gaining the weight back. And if you look here, you saw the lowest point where you can watch this steady creep for the last 4 or 5 years. In that time, I just started getting really frustrated. I was like, this is not fair. What is happening to me? I went to counseling and I said, help me, help me, help me. And we just couldn't figure it out, right? So fast forward to July of this year, 2023. That picture is my husband and I on vacation in 2023. I'm back up to, in that picture, 290, 295 pounds. So I've gained everything back that I had lost in my lower carb world. I got back from vacation and I said, something's got to change. I had gone back on medication. Knew my sugars were struggle. I was just in trouble and I knew it. So I went to my doctor on August 3rd of 2023 and got my blood sugar and all those things done again. And as you can see, my A1C had crept back up to 6, which is pre-diabetic. It's not diabetic, but I'm still a diabetic, right? I still technically, and look at that insulin number again, 16.5. I was never down to a 5. The one thing that I will say that is good is that my HDL had improved. I'm up in the 40s and my triglycerides were fairly normal, comparatively speaking. So I needed to begin again. And I made the decision that when I got back from vacation on July 17th, I was going to start back to lower carb. And so here is my first week of numbers, the numbers that I was recording for myself. I'm using the Carb Manager app. It's a wonderful app. It works for me. You notice that my carb numbers were averaging about 60 grams. My step goal was, is 8,500, but it was summer. I'm a school teacher, so I wasn't walking as much. And then I was recording my calories from the fasting app, from my Carb Manager app. And then I was doing my fasting blood sugar with a finger stick. So when I went to my doctor on August 3rd, she put me on a glucose monitor, and I have the Libre 3 in case anybody uses it. It works great for me. It does continual monitoring. It's checking my numbers. The thing that scared me, the reason I went back to my doctor and said I need help, is that my fasting blood sugar numbers were going up and up and up. I used to run in the 110s to 130s, and I knew I was pretty managed at that point, but then it was just going up and up and up. And if you look, my weight at that point, at the end of that week, I was averaging a 291.7. So I was like, I have to do something. So I'm in carnivore, I'm eating low carb, and I get to that point, I get to this 287 mark the next week, and it just stopped. Like I stopped losing weight completely. My blood sugars got better, but I just kind of stopped. And I just kept doing research, and I came across some of the more, not radical, but the more intense keto. Like I always said, oh, I'm low carb, but not keto. Like his keto seemed so weird. And I thought people are going to think I'm crazy. But as I started to realize, I'm like, I need to drop myself down to more keto levels. And so the end of August to the beginning of September, I decided I'm going to go so keto that I'm going to actually go carnivore. I listened to Dr. Berry talk about the proper human diet. I listened to Dr. Chafee. I listened to, Sean Baker and all these different people. I came across Kelly Hogan. I came across all these different people on YouTube that just really, that stuck with me. Like, I'm like, okay, what can I do? So I've made the decision that as of September 1st, I was going to transition into carnivore. And so I don't want to keep going in my video at this point. What I really want to do is I'm going to say, this is where I started September. I was down 10 pounds from where I started losing weight. What's going to happen in my September experiment? And I'm going to talk more about that in my next video. So if you're finding this interesting, please follow me. Please follow along. I hope that my journey helps you. And please, if you have questions for me or if you want to know how to connect with me, just make a comment. Thanks, guys. I'm going to talk to you next. I'll talk to you about my post September in just the next video.